She pulled up in her shiny SUV, a stranger sitting beside her, pointing at my cabin like she already owned it. I was on my porch, coffee in hand, when I heard her say, "This is the property I told you about. Perfect for the market." My stomach twisted. That was my home, not hers, and I sure hadn't put it up for sale. The man beside her looked confused, holding a clipboard. "So the owner's inside?" he asked. She smirked. "Don't worry, he won't be a problem. I run this neighborhood." I stood up slowly as they walked toward my gate like they had every right to be there. My dog started barking, sensing my anger, but I raised a hand to calm him. She waved her phone and shouted, "Open this gate. We have a showing scheduled." My heart was pounding, but instead of arguing, I walked down, locked the gate tighter with a heavy chain, and hammered a wooden sign I'd painted the night before. "Private property, not for sale." Her face went bright red. "You can't do this," she screamed, slamming her hands on the gate. "I've already told people it's available. You'll regret this." The realtor looked uneasy, stepping back. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "are you sure this is even your listing? Because this doesn't look right." She ignored him, glaring at me with fake authority. "I'm part of the HOA. If I say this cabin is for sale, it's for sale." I smiled and leaned closer to the gate. "Then you're about to find out how wrong you are." Her eyes widened when I pulled out my phone and started recording. "This woman," I said clearly, "is trying to sell my home without permission." The realtor's jaw dropped. "Wait, you're the owner?" "Of course I am," I said, holding up the deed still sealed in its plastic cover. He turned to her, shocked. "Ma'am, you signed papers claiming this was your listing." Karen stammered. It will be." "He doesn't belong here. This land's under HOA control." I couldn't help but laugh. "This property was built before your HOA even existed. Your paperwork means nothing here." The realtor realized he'd been pulled into a scam. "This could get me fired," he muttered before hurrying to his car. But Karen wasn't finished. She pulled out her phone, shouting, "You'll see! I have authority. The police will be here in minutes." I stayed calm. The last time someone threatened to call the cops on me, the responding officer was an old army buddy. I still had his number on speed dial. 15 minutes later, 2 patrol cars rolled up the gravel road, lights flashing through the trees. Karen stood tall, waving them over like she was royalty. "Officers, over here. This man is trespassing on HOA property. Arrest him." The officers glanced at me, then at the cabin behind me. One raised an eyebrow. "Trespassing? He's standing on the porch of that house." Karen grew louder, desperate. "Yes, but he's not supposed to be here. I've already listed this property for sale. He's lying about ownership." She shoved her phone at them, showing fake documents. I stayed calm and handed over my deed. "Funny thing, officers. This property's been mine for 15 years. Bought it outright. No mortgage, no HOA ties." The taller officer flipped through the papers, then looked sharply at her. "Ma'am, these are official county records. They prove he owns this place free and clear. Do you have anything that says otherwise?" Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. He must have faked those papers." The second officer chuckled. "So you're accusing the county clerk's office of fraud now? That's new." Her face flushed, but she doubled down. "Fine. Then I'll press charges for harassment. He threatened me." That's when I lifted my phone and pressed play. Her voice filled the air. "If I say this cabin is for sale, it's for sale." The officers froze, both turning to her. "You want to rethink that statement, ma'am?" one asked, smirking. Karen's confidence cracked. She tried to grab her phone back, but the officer held up his hand. "Stay right there. We're going to need some ID." The taller cop ran her information. Moments later, the radio crackled. "Subject has prior complaints of fraud and harassment in neighboring counties." He looked back at her. "So this isn't your first time?" She stammered. "Those were lies. People misunderstood me. I was only trying to help the neighborhood." I crossed my arms. "By selling houses that don't belong to you?" Her mask slipped. "Nobody takes care of this place like I do." "You don't deserve that cabin. I'm the one keeping property values high." The officer cut her off. "Ma'am, impersonating a property owner and filing fake listings are felonies." "You're not going anywhere," she tried one last move. "You don't understand. The HOA board will back me up." That's when I pulled out a second phone. I'd set up a hidden camera earlier, just in case. I hit play, and the officers watched her on video saying, "This is the property I told you about. Perfect for the market." Ma'am, the officer said. Turn around. The handcuffs clicked, echoing through the quiet woods. But it wasn't over. As they led her to the car, another SUV arrived. 3 people in suits stepped out, the HOA board. Karen shouted, "Tell them. Tell these officers I had every right." But the board froze when they saw I was still recording. The woman muttered, "She actually did it." Another man whispered, "We told her not to go this far." The officer turned. "So you did know?" Their eyes darted away. I held up my phone. "Don't bother denying it. You're all on tape," the woman snapped. "You can't release that footage. It'll ruin the HOA's reputation," I smiled. "That's the idea." Karen screamed from the patrol car. "You cowards! You said you'd back me up. You said we'd split the money." Her words hung in the air. A full confession caught on camera in front of everyone. The officer closed the car door, shaking his head. "Ma'am," he said, "the only thing you're protecting is your ego." And just like that, the woods went quiet again.